Hello everyone! This is, no joke, the third time I've tried recording this, so fingers crossed that it turns out decently this time. Today we are going to be doing a VOD review of Starry Angel here on Mercy. They are a Plat 3 support player on PC. And I got this video from asking the Mercy main Discord if anybody would like to have their footage reviewed. So we're going to be taking a look at Starry Angel's footage here and seeing if there's anything that they can do better. Obviously I do already know because I have seen this twice before, but that's okay, we're ignoring that. So the first thing I wanted to go over real quick was a fit check. I really like the Celestial with the hard light staff, very nice combination. I am appreciative that we didn't go for the golden gun or the jade gun. I feel like it works together. Fit check complete, let us begin. So, the first thing I like to do is to look at what our team comp's gonna be. So, because I already know what it's going to be, I'm gonna skip forward a little bit because this guy baits us by going BAP. He's not actually going to go BAP, he's going to go Juno. Just switches right before the game starts. I do not love when people switch right before the game starts. So what we're gonna do here is we're gonna take a look at our team comp and see what we have going for us. So we have a Reaper, Hog, Genji, Juno. So there is a potential problem here in that we do not have a cleanse for our Hog. Now it turns out the enemy team does not go in Ana, so our Hog ends up being completely safe from that. But that's something that you want to keep in mind when you're picking a support, is in what way are you going to be able to negate the issues that your tank might have. You also want to keep that in mind in regards to your other support and your DPS, but there's a lot of different combinations of those that work together. So it's a lot less problematic. The tank pick is a big one. Ooster's got a good idea with the Juno. Juno's particularly strong right now. I do believe that Mercy is actually quite strong in metal ranks, even though she's not particularly strong in the meta right now, because she's simply difficult to hit, and the people on the enemy team aren't going to have the same quality of aim as you're going to see at higher ranks. So you're going to live through a lot of things. So I don't have any problem with the Mercy pick, and also obviously I got this from a Mercy main subreddit, so I expect to see Mercy play. But I think it's important to look at the ways in which our hero picks are going to have positive and negative effects on our teammates, and what we can do to try and negate the negatives. So right off the back here, we're a little bit late getting out of spawn. This is something I do all the time, but you gotta be very careful about it because you definitely need to make sure that you still have line of sight on somebody. If this Hog had been behind this post instead and the Reaper had dropped down, you would just have to like casually walk for a little bit, and I call that being an orphan to Mercy when you're all by yourself. You wanna try and minimize the situations where you're all by yourself. Obviously, doesn't end up being a problem here, just something to keep in mind. So we pause here for a second, check our mouse or something. It ends up being okay, but do be very careful with any sort of standing still. Right, so this is one of the things that I looked at here, is we have both of our DPS going up top here. And our tank is not. Our tank is behind us. So these people are liable to take a lot of damage. So I'm gonna want to see us go in and help them, and we do. While managing to stay largely behind, let me back up here, largely behind this cover here and not taking too much damage from the Bastion. I like this. I think we could be even more behind, get this Hog out of my face, behind this post here. But it works out. Good movement. Good job not going too far or hanging out down here where you're liable to get pushed by all of these people. Their team's all grouped over here, so you want to be particularly wary when peeking around this corner. I think Starry does a good job here. Here's something that I only noticed this one time, but we could have gone for a damage boost on this hook a little sooner. We do end up damage boosting it for half a second, but it doesn't end up connecting while the shots go off, I don't think. So that would be something I would like to see. That damage boost on hook can be the difference between someone living and dying in this situation. So it's something that can have quite a lot of value for not a lot of your time. Then we come down here. Half of their team is rotating this way, and half of them is still above us. So we're a little bit in a risky position, but we are out of line of sight of the enemy team. We're definitely going to want to make sure that we have a way out of this. Go in forward here, which I like the damage boost on the Reaper. Even though he's missing health here, don't mind the fact that we're getting smacked by a Rhine. That's unimportant right now. Even though he doesn't have all of his health here, we were damage boosting him so that he could kill the Bastion and the Mei. It's close range. He's going to get a lot of life steal from that. I like that play. He ends up backing off. Fwenchfly ends up backing off here. And Orion charges across the map and then lands on top of our head. And smacks us couple. But we get away. The fact that I don't know where that Rhine exactly came from is a little bit problematic. When we're playing with Mercy especially, but all the supports, it's important to, yeah, I hear him charge there, but we don't turn and look. You can see the weirdly moving outline of some part of Reinhardt over here. And it's important to when you're playing support, have an idea of both where everyone on your team is and where everyone on the enemy team is. It's a lot to try and keep in your head, but you can help yourself try and keep track of these things by looking around a lot. So I'd like to see you look over here when the Rhine charges to try and know exactly where he is. You do end up leaving before he kills you. Excellent. I like the movement that we use to get up here. I don't love how we were hanging out on the point by ourselves for a second. If this Bastion turned, we could have been in trouble. But we keep moving, which is good. I don't love that we ended up here. It's far more static than if you keep moving. I'd like to see you glide down from here instead of hanging out up here for a couple seconds. But you aren't taking any damage, and I think it's fine to stay up there as long as you're not taking damage. We're damage boosting our DPS. That's good. They need to be able to get the kills here. I like the damage boost on the DPS, even though they're not full HP. Making sure they get those kills. They weren't in danger of dying, so it's perfectly fine to do that. Here's a little thing I mentioned the first time around. We go for the Glock on this, on the Juno, but she is very close to us when we go for that, and I would say in that situation, just melee them. When they're right here, just give them a little melee. Not an important thing, not game changing, but something to keep in mind. It does take time to switch to your Glock, so if you can, get the damage off by just meleeing. So our Reaper goes in really deep here, and he has a lot of people looking at him. You can see through the wall. So I would like to see you looking to try and help him a little bit here, a little bit earlier. Miraculously, he lives this. I have no idea why. But we appreciate that. And then he goes right back in. Flinchfly cannot be stopped, alright? We do pop Valk after we've already gotten a hook on this Mei. Again, we could have tried to damage boost the hook. And then we also use 2 more ults after that. We use Blade and Juno ult. I think that that's unfortunate that we used all that. I don't think yours was necessarily a bad ult. Valk doesn't necessarily have all that much value, so using it there isn't a big problem. Alright, so it looks like we're capping the point here. We lost 2. We lost Fwenchwai and our Genji. And we choose not to res this. And I think that that is a misplay. There's only one person on the enemy team here. Let's see if we can see him. This Sebastian here. Now, you don't necessarily have any way of knowing exactly how many people are alive unless you've been counting. But we do know that we have gotten quite a few kills. So I would very much like to see us res one of these people. But we don't. We just reset. We do end up waiting for both people. I'd like to see us res the slower person, too. Which I think in this case would be Reaper. Our hog goes for some for some poke. That's fine. We just hang out for a little bit. It works. One of the reasons I'd like to see us res there is just to keep that more pressure on the enemy team. Gives them less time to regroup. Less brain cells to think about game plans as well if they're fighting us. So we just kind of hang out here for a little bit. Alright, we do damage boost that hook. Great job. And then we make one of the biggest misplays that I see during this game. We fly in past a bastion, near a brig. We are like the furthest person forward of our whole team right now. And we went like through the enemy team to get here. There's also a Reinhardt behind us. I think this was not an optimal choice. We either wait for Fwenchwai to get out and then heal them, or we need to go around this way where the Genji is, so that there's less pressure on us when we try and help Reaper here. But we end up getting out. It did not end up being a critical misplay, but I think it would have been a misplay. We're a little slow on healing that Genji, and then we're in a non-optimal position for a second. We did have point control though, so it was not terrible. Here's another one of the things that I would like to see done differently. We have the Genji and the Reaper both low in there. You see here. But Reaper still has Fade. Genji's using Deflect right now, I think. No, he's using it right now. Okay. So, Deflect is going to run out before Fade. And he can't move as quickly as Reaper can. And he's closer to the enemy team. I'd like to see you try and heal this person while you keep backing up. He might not be able to make it out still, but I think that the Reaper will make it out whether or not you help him. And the Genji definitely doesn't when you don't help him. So... you've lost 2 now. So I'm gonna go back to here. You lose your Genji. You don't look to your Juno, even though they just had a weapons drop right next to them. So I'd like a weapons drop, whatever that's called. You can see in this overlay that they are very low. So I'd like to see you looking to try and heal them there, and you don't. I think you don't even know where they are. You find them right as they die. You decide to back up a little before I'd like to see you make that decision. Though you don't have any ults. No, this is fine. I was gonna say wait until your Reaper dies there before you back out, but you don't have any ults, and you're right next to their spawn, so I think that's fine. Great job getting out. It's very important that you don't get picked there once you did decide to get out, rather than dying on the point. I think dying on the point there is also okay, but what you definitely don't want to do is continue to heal your tank for a while and then end up staggering your whole team. So I think that decision was quite helpful. So So we're taking another fight on this point now. Our Hog's a little bit behind. Reaper is dying. You keep the beam on the Reaper even as you're looking to the Genji, that's good. Mess up our Valk or our Guardian Angel a little bit there, but it's not important. This is an excellent res, especially because you guys used the Juno ult. Your team's not using the Juno ult to any effect, but you know, it happens. I wanted, first time I watched through this, I mentioned this and I'd like to mention it again. We lose our Genji as he blades. Okay. We have a Juno ult out right now. We are down one, but this is a winnable fight. I would have liked to see us Valk that. Even if you lose the fight, it's okay to use Valk there because it is not the most valuable ult. But you guys end up losing the fight. You get out. We regroup and try and take a fight on this point. Oh, side note, there was nothing we could have done for the Genji because we were rezzing at that time. Except maybe try and look to heal him a little bit more beforehand, but I think that was just a misplay on the Genji's part, and there's not a whole lot we could have done. I like taking the high ground here. We have a Reaper on us for a second, but he gets rolled by our Reaper. This is an okay Valk. I would say there's no need for you to be on the point here. Because your team's really close to it. I would say keep in mind definitely where your team is and make sure that they are going to touch the point, but being this low to the ground isn't really necessary. And I would like to see you trying to use cover a little bit more instead of being this close to the ground in Valk. We get a res here, good res. I would say maybe you could have been a little bit more behind the cover that's slightly behind this post. A little bit more behind here before you rezzed, because they could have turned on you. They didn't. It is Plat, so we get away with stuff like that, and I don't think it's problematic that you did that, but something to keep in mind when you're playing against higher ranked players, that they're more likely to turn on you for stuff like that, so you want to keep that in mind. We lose our Reaper again. I think the damage boost on this Hoggle's good. I think that you probably should have just stayed damage boosting the Hoggle as opposed to Glock there, but not a big issue either way. I didn't even notice this the first time. This poke damage is fine. Your teammates are all short range damage except for the Juno, and you can do damage from farther away. I wouldn't say that you want to be Glocking that expecting to get a kill so much as just charging your ult. And so if you don't have your ult charged, that's something I would say that it's totally okay to do, as long as you are very sure that none of these people are going to insta-kill you. And it is unlikely that from this range, any of them are going to be able to insta-kill you. So, I think that's not a bad play. But not something I would do if you already have Valk. You do this weird thing where you walk at their brig. I think perhaps you're trying to avoid the Reaper ult damage, but you should be fine being more around this corner. There's no need to put yourself this far forward and potentially take damage from this brig. This brig decides to just run away instead. We take those, but I think this is a mistake. Here's another one of those times where you're not looking at something super useful right now. You know the brig's here already. You took a look at them. They're taking damage from your Reaper. It'd be nice to see you look over to your right and see what's going on with your Hog.
Let me see what I can do.
See, because you just see here now that he's really low. So if you had seen that a little bit earlier, you might have been able to help this guy before he died.
Enhancing their strength. Point. Disrupt them.
You make the choice not to go in and help your hog. You do have line of sight where you could get to him for a second here. And I think that's not necessarily the wrong pick. He has... Who is that Reaper next to him too? And the Ren. So I think that's okay. But yeah, that is the Reaper as well. So I think it's good that you didn't go in there. Here is a little mistake, I think. You drop down off the high ground. And you don't know where their Kree is. Ryan's here, Reaper's here, Briggs over here somewhere. Where's their Kiriko? Where is their McCree? If they're not... This is a pretty good view of most of the point. If you can't see them, they're behind you. And that's not optimal. And we end up taking damage from the Kree here. Because we stood in a place where he could get to us. And if we had stood behind this pot on the other side from where the Kree is, this is the Kree, we can prevent that damage and maybe get out. I like the damage boost on the Reaper. We end up dying to the Kree. Nothing we could have done about that at this point.
I must go where I'm needed.
Alright, we get an instant pick here. We don't heal. I would say heal this person a little bit earlier, and then don't stay with them. Just heal them up a little bit, and then your Juno's got it from there. You don't want them to stay too low on HP for that long, but it's more important for you to be damage boosting this Genji into this Reaper here. But don't worry, Genji's got it all by himself. He doesn't need you. Your hog gets picked. So this is a non-optimal situation. I'd like to see you on the high ground here. You can definitely make this jump. You do a great job of it. Just stay up here once you're up here. Definitely be aware of where this McCree is. Oops. And I think that is actually why you drop. And then you get got by this friend. This is unfortunate. Instead of dropping, what you do here is there's a post up here. Oops. I guess we're free camming it anyway. We can go look at this. Use this to LOS. The McCree. Yeah, close, like here. Oh, okay. There we go. Be like right here. As long as you can still see down. And then instead of just dropping, I would say skip past your Juno and then land. Oh my goodness, we keep going through the floor. And then land like over here. This sort of thing happens. It's unfortunate. I wouldn't say that you necessarily made a horrible misplay or anything. You could have potentially reacted a little sooner when he's here, knowing that there's a wall here, and walked to your right instead. And then maybe Guardian Angeled up to your Genji wherever he's going. But by this point, you're already just not in an optimal position with the Kree on the high ground and the Ren there. I'd like to see you go to the high ground a little bit earlier, and then when you take damage from that McCree, go across to your Juno here. Or alternatively, if you drop down this way, back up, like around this corner instead of into it. That's just kind of like map awareness and knowing exactly where things are on the map so that you don't accidentally run into them when you're walking backwards. So we get got. We use our Genji ult and our Juna ult again and lose the fight, which is tragic. It's tragic you die there. It's tragic you lose both of those things. That, honestly, largely just an unfortunate thing. Yes, you could have played it a little bit better, but having made a small mistake like that and having the effect be so massive is one of those things that just happens sometimes. Sometimes you make a little mistake, like you fly into the entire enemy team and they don't kill you at all. And sometimes you make a little mistake, like you don't back off quite right there, and you lose the point for it. And that's just how stuff is sometimes. And I don't think that mistake was necessarily worthy of that effect, but it is what happened. Alright. This is match point. We got our Valk just now. I would say probably Palpit. Yep. And then we want to be aware of this situation. So they have a Pharah, and we have no hit scan. We have an opportunity here. Or is it? They don't have any, like, super great way of getting healing on this Pharah. This Juno might do it. Or they might totally ignore them. I think you go for the Glock here. You take 3 or 4 shots. If they hit, keep shooting, and if they miss, stop. Just because no one else on your team is liable to kill this Pharah, except maybe your junk tire. But that's not what happens. You go for the res on your hog here. I think this is a good res. I think you do a very good job of not getting hit by the Pharah. And your team just kind of dies. RIP your team. You go in for a last second contest here a little too early. There's a couple more seconds that you don't have to be on there. I'd like to see you playing back a little bit more, but being in a position where you could touch if you need to. Again, I don't think this is something that's necessarily going to change the outcome of the game, but it's something that you can definitely keep in your repertoire and use in different situations where your team might be closer to respawning instead of in this situation where they're a little far away. So yeah, overall, my Alright, so overall, my advice is to try and be more aware of both where the enemy team is and where your team is, and also, alright, so overall, I'd say one of my biggest things, alright, so overall, I think one of the big things you could do to improve your gameplay is just trying to have more awareness of where the enemy team is and where your team is. Your movement is good, your positioning is pretty good, your knowledge of and your use of damage boost is stronger than what I would anticipate for this rank. So I think you're doing a great job in that regard. Just try and have more awareness of where your teammates are and look for some more damage boosts on your hooks, and hope that you just don't get randomly pinned out of nowhere. And I hope this is useful. to you. I hope you're able to get some value out of it. For everyone else, thank you for joining me. I'm hoping to be posting more videos. Thank you all for joining me. I hope this was entertaining, maybe useful, maybe. Maybe going to be doing some more of these going forward. If you have your own replays that you'd like me to take a look at, go ahead and send them in. Keep in mind that the replays do disappear with updates. So if you have one for this update, don't give it to me, just give me the next one. If you liked the video, go ahead and give it a like. If you stayed this long, you should probably subscribe, and I'll see you again sometime. We're gonna get our monetization back sometime, I promise. Alright, bye. Oh, look at this. They put all of the breakable things, explosions, in the replay. That's fancy. Now I can do like a bullet time event, you know?